Hi there, Tracy here with another Project Life process video. This time I'm using a bunch of different Becky Higgins core kits for my spread, and I have them all color sorted, so I can't really remember which are from which kit, but let's get started. I start off as usual with trimming up my photos. I have my Creative Memories trimmer out here, and this is one of my most used, most beloved scrapbooking tools for project life anyhow, and even for regular process videos, for regular scrapbooking pages. I do really love to use this trimmer for trimming up photos because it's so, as you see, it's just so easy and it's so tiny and it fits on my table so nicely, and it's just great. When my friend Tanya gave me one of these, I didn't think I would really need it until I started to use it, and it is really handy to have a tiny trimmer for trimming up your photos, especially when you make so many tiny ones like I do. Now, this is a newer version of this trimmer. Creative Memories was kind enough to send me one, but as you guys who follow me know, I've been using and loving this for many years before they sent me a free one. So thank you so much to them. They're very kind. Anyhow, here I am trimming up my photos, and you'll notice that I have them cut at 4 different sizes this time. I like to streamline my printing process, so all of my square photos, unless if they're really awesome favorites, I cut all of my square photos at 2 by 2, and then I print up my screenshots at 2 by 3.5, and then that will not fill a 2 by 3 or a 3 by 4 pocket. But if I have any photos that are landscape, not screenshots, but just landscape shots, or no, portrait shots, sorry, that I took with my phone, I will print those at 3 by 4 so that they'll fill up a pocket, but I don't usually do that. Then I have this teeny weeny little one, which I printed at 0.5 by 0.6, and I will talk about that little one a little bit later. I also will sometimes print a landscape photo that I don't want to be quite 4 by 6. I'll print it at 2 by 3, and that's what I did with this little partially made YouTube play button photo. It was printed at 2 by 3. And that's a really nice size because it fits in a 3 by 4 pocket, but it doesn't, and you still have room to add some journaling and whatnot around it. So streamlining your photo printing process really, really helps make project life quite a bit more simple. You also tend to get familiar with the sizes after a period of time, and it helps you to plan and design as you go. I highly recommend streamlining your process, especially if you want project life to be fast as opposed to taking your time with it. Taking your time is awesome too, so go ahead and do that if that's what you like. But I find my project life tends to take up longer than I want it to, so anything I can do to make it faster is better. So my first step in the process is to lay out all of my photos on my spread like this, and I just have a template that I created just using a ruler of a design A 12 by 12 page protector from Becky Higgins, which is the page protector that I usually use the most. Now I have all of my 4 by 6, no, those are my 3 by 4 cards. I have all of my 3 by 4 cards pulled out here, and I store them upright in a Becky Higgins core kit case. Like the insert that comes in the box, and I just cut the lid off of the box so that I just use the box as a tray. And what I'm doing is I'm deciding on a color scheme, and what I'm doing is I'm pulling red out as a potential color because of the red play button is very prominent, and then there's also a red solo cup that's very prominent in these photos. So I'm using my photos as inspiration. There's prominent green and prominent red in these photos. I do not match or coordinate my photos with one another. I like project life to be very true to life, which is not matchy-matchy. I mean, life doesn't match. And so I like to just go with whatever colors are in my photos and take a color scheme from there. And so this might be the first time that you guys are seeing me start from scratch, as far as I don't have a kit that's themed for the month here. And usually if I do have a kit, then I just work with the color scheme that's in the kit. And so in this case, I'm using all of my cards. So I could literally choose anything here. So I have a little subsection of cards that is just specialty cards, and I like to just browse through them every once in a while just to remember what's in there in case there's some perfect card that I've forgotten about that would work great in this spread, but there isn't in this case. So I pulled that Red Perfection card out, which is a Scraptastic Kit Club leftover. And then the rest of these cards are all Becky Higgins cards from various core kits. I have the Honey, the Clementine, and the Jade collection. And then a bunch of other random cards that people have given me or that I've shared or traded with. And so I'm pulling out blue, green, and red as my main colors for this one. And I want that really bright lime green to be kind of like the accent color. And then red, of course, will be another accent color, but most of the cards will be, I guess you could consider blue as the base. I picked out that cloud card for the top right-hand corner because there are so many clouds in that photo, and it's about the story I'm going to tell there is about pollution. So I thought that was pretty fitting. I'm trying to, because red really pops out at you in this layout, I'm trying to pull red and spread it around the layout. So you see a little bit of a triangle happening there with the red. I've got red in the bottom left-hand corner. I've got red in kind of center-ish at the top level. And then I've got red in my photo in the bottom right-hand corner. So that creates a bit of a triangle with red. There will be red in other places on the layout, but that's just sort of my starting point. And I picked out that lime green card with the phrase on it that I'm going to cover up. I thought that really picked up on the green in the field on the soccer photo in the top left-hand corner. And now I'm just trying to pick a 4x6 card. So I pulled out I used the exact same setup for my 4x6 cards. I just have fewer of them. And I pulled out a pretty neutral card there. I also pulled out two other neutral cards. The third one on the top row is neutral. And then the first one on the second row is also neutral. And then I just pulled in another neutral one right there in the fourth card on the second row. I felt like there was just a little bit too much color going on, and I always forget about my neutral colors. I tend to always pick colors, so I'm trying to remember that I have a whole bunch of gray and brown cards as well, and I decided to go with gray as my neutrals. There is something that I'm buying in this week, and so I thought I'd pull out those little post-it notes that say want it, need it, and those sorts of things, but the way that they're positioned, they're pointing the wrong way for my photos, so I'm not going to do that. Now I am rounding the corners on that Perfection one. I usually mix my square corners with my rounded corners, but in this case only one card was square, so that stood out a little bit too much, so I went ahead and rounded the corners with my 1/4 inch corner chomper. Now I'm covering up the word life here, and I'm going to keep the word record, and this is just kind of documenting the two different steps of painting a play button on my closet door in my scrapbooking room. And I thought that I'd play with the word record. I mean, in this case, record means, like record these memories, but I thought I'd kind of play on the idea of record also being a button on a player. And so I've got record in the background and then play on the top. And of course I am documenting a play button, so I thought that was pretty, relevant. And I used those rubber Lawn Fawn letter stickers, which I love, love, love. And this might be the first time I've used them. I love them so much. They're such a cool texture. And I picked up on the yellow in the wall color in the photo. So now I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of mist drops, and I'm just masking off some of it. Pulled out my nonstick mat, and there weren't enough tiny dots. And part of the problem is that I shook that mist up so much that all I was getting was frothy bubbles, and they tend to land in large splats. So I should have let it rest for a little bit longer to get a more variety in the sizes of the splatters there, but that's okay. It's just a Project Life card. It's all right. And now I'm just going to outline it because it is a white card, and I'm aware of the fact that all the other cards are not white, and so I just want to emphasize the edges of it so it doesn't disappear. And now I'm going to do my journaling. I was trying to decide if I do my journaling on the top of the closet or on the bottom of the closet, but because it's black, I thought it would add more weight, and so it would make more sense for it to be under the play button. And I'll show you the card in more detail at the end if you want to see and hear exactly what was written on there. Now here I am on my second card, and the process is going to speed up a little bit very shortly. I slowed down the process so I could talk a little bit more slowly about my photo choice and color choices and so on, but I'll speed up in just a few seconds. So I'm just outlining around the edges. I matted that photo of a book that I got, and I just thought I'd show you my how my workspace looks as I'm scrapbooking. You guys get to see such a tiny little bit of it, so I thought I'd just show you how I have my tools all laid out while I'm working on Project Life there. And now this is a Sakura glaze pen, and it goes on clear, but it dries to white. And I just thought that would add a little bit of detail. This card is kind of noticeably less white than the other ones. And so I thought I would just add a little bit of white. And of course there's white in the photo and white on the mat as well, so that's fine. Using my tiny attacher to staple that in place, and I left it over to the side a little bit to balance off with the fact that that noted is off to the side as well. And I'm just having a look at my stickers here. I have very few stickers that have red in them, but one set that I have is this Glitz Designs sticker set it's quite an old sticker set, but I really like that it's got the lime green and the red accents in it. So I picked it out to potentially go with this spread because the spread has both lime green. Sorry about my back there. I was leaning forward to grab my seldom used snap. Actually, it's Smashbook, not Snap. My seldom used Smashbook roller date stamp. And I'm picking it out because it has, this one is for the books, I think, or one for the books, or something like that. Let me just, actually, it says, this warrants a fist pump. And then I'm just stapling it so that the little tab is layered with the July label. And the July label gives me another pop of red. And then I'm just journaling there. You can read it. It says, at Otis and Clementine, I found this book, which has the same cover as the one I originally had. And so just explaining why I bought that book in particular. And here is it's actually a photo of my TV Frozen. So we watch Casey Neistat's vlog every couple of days. We just get caught up on whatever we've missed. And we've been watching from the very, very beginning. I think we started on day 3 of his vlogging. He's been doing it for over a year now. And I don't even know how we discovered him. So I'm just changing my staples or refilling my staples in my tiny attacher. And I have a photo of the TV screen that was frozen on that luck equals opportunity plus preparation, because that is an idea that we love of his, and I've spoken about it with friends and stuff in the past, and I couldn't quite remember the exact phrasing that Casey used when he talked about it. So when we were just kind of coincidentally watching an older video of his, this came up. So I said, there it is. So I just grabbed a shot of it and I stapled it to this card. And now I'm using Kelly Perky letter stickers, which are one of my favorite letter stickers. You know what? These letter stickers are not all that different than the Snap ones that you can get in the little packs that have several colors together. And that's probably a cheaper way, or a way to at least get more letters for your money. But for some reason, these ones, I just like them so much better than the Snap ones. I'm really not a fan of the Snap ones, even though I don't know what it is about them. I think it might be the color of them is a little bit different or something. The font is very similar. I should really compare them. Maybe I should do like a video that shows the difference. I don't know, maybe there's some difference that I'm just not picking up on and not remembering. Anyhow, I like the Kelly Perky ones a lot. And I am just, you see me, I just trimmed off the little edge of that green honeycomb card. And I just thought I'd cover up the bottom part of that card because it was a little fancy, like the design was this fancy damask type of design. And I didn't want something so fancy for a card about Casey Neistat, who's not very fancy. And also it kind of makes it fit a little bit better with the other cards on the page. And it also removes some of the red. I didn't want this card to be quite so red. I just wanted a pop of red at the top. I outlined the whole thing, including the edges where the red line at the top and the green line at the bottom go across. And I thought that a camera was a really great icon to put on this card because he has so many cameras all the time. And so, but it was a little bit distracting the way that it was showing through when it was layering with the photo. There were some distracting lines showing through the holes. So I just matted the whole thing on a piece of the green scrap from the paper I used below and put a little red star in the middle. That was perfect. Another great pop of red. And now I'm doing my journaling, which just says we've watched Casey's vlog from the very beginning. And of course, I'm paranoid about misspelling beginning. Even though I know that it has two N's, I always check because I don't know, I have this like doubt. We love his outlook on life and his approach to storytelling, I think that says. Now here's this first neutral card. So you see how I kind of work backwards. I always start in the bottom corner and work backwards. I don't know why I do that, but I always seem to. So this is a picture of my cats, and there's a story to go with this that is probably not going to fit on this card. So I'm thinking about maybe not using the card beside it or moving cards around a little bit to make room for one card that will be just journaling. So for this one, I just added a cat sticker, and then I'm doing a little bit of journaling that just says Lila and Nixie welcome Chloe, who had been outside 22 hours. And I feel like this card needs something else, like color or something, and I can't remember what I end up doing with it. So here I'm just trying to figure out, I have to scooch around cards in order to make room for a card that's going to be just journaling. So here I am just pulling out my 3x4 cards again. And I picked this one with yellow because there is yellow elsewhere in the layout. The word play, for example, and there's yellow in lots of my photos. And then I have these stamps from Studio L2E, which have kind of like bad day phrases on them. And the phrase that came on that card, there's like a little blue banner, and I forget what it said, but it was something cheerful. And the story I'm going to tell is about a bad day. So I grabbed this stamp that said that did not just happen from the smaller set of stamps. And I forget the name of those stamps, but they are from Studio L2E. And then they also came with these two little arrows that you could use to point either direction or both directions. I just drew in a little exclamation point because I thought it deserved one. And now I'm going to also stamp the phrase "holy crap" on the top of this, because that's kind of how we felt when we realized that our cat got out. There, yes. So the phrase says summer days, so that's not really relevant to the story that I'm telling, although it did happen in the summer. So I'm just using that trimmer again to just trim up this sentiment. And then I'm going to layer it right over top of the sentiment that comes on the card using my Tombow Aqua adhesive. And so it says, holy crap, that did not just happen. And now I'm going to do my journaling. And this journaling, it says, we realized Wednesday morning that Chloe was missing and hadn't been seen since the day before. We sound really irresponsible, but it's like our kids were away, so the kids would normally notice if one of the cats was missing. And we were both working really long hours those days. And he came home, and I assumed that we came home at different times, and we both just went to bed. And I think the other person just assumed that the other one, and our cats just free feed, so they don't. So it's not like we even feed them and they all come at a certain time. Anyhow, we did go to give them canned food the next morning, and only 2 of them came running. So yeah, that's when we realized that she had been out. So we realized she must be outside. At 3 months old, with coyotes, foxes, owls, and other predators, we were distraught. But we found her curled up in a bed of leaves under the porch, scratched but safe. So I really wanted to get that story in there because it's not that often that anything exciting happens in our life. Like my project life tends to be mostly just snapshots of things that we did, because we do the same things over and over again, pretty much. But anyhow, whenever there is an interesting little story, I try to make sure I actually document it. And so here I just took the card that I had already picked out from the Becky Higgins core kits, and I just did some outlining, added a arrow, and now I'm just adding a word here that says chair. And then I'm going to take a red gel pen, and it's a jelly roll from Sakura, and I'm going to use cursive writing to add the word shopping. And I'm just going over it a little bit to make it a little bit thicker. And I like how that looks. I like those colors. And there's red, the same red. It kind of picks up on the red that's in the in some of the background of the photo. The warehouse equipment, like the shelves in the warehouse were red. And I added a little bit more of that Mr. Huey's Sky mist, and I'm using the same mist in all of my cards. It's not going to be on all of the cards, but whenever I use mist, it will be the same color. And that will just add a little bit more cohesiveness. As I mentioned, my cards are really mix and match. And so for that reason, anything I can do to add some continuity to the spread is helpful. So that card really just added some cursive writing, and that's it for that one. And now here I am with this picture of the paper plant in Pictou County. And Pictou County, on a cloudy day especially, it's where my husband is from. And all of the air has a really, really bad smell. And historically, that area of the province has been very industry driven. There are mines and, a paper mill and a tire plant and all sorts of industry. And so there's plenty of pollution around there, although probably not as much as in a bigger region. But I just I always feel bad as I drive past that pulp and paper plant. So I wanted to add it to my project life. So I just added Northern Pulp, which is the name of the paper plant. And then I'm typing the not so pretty side of paper because, I'm involved in the paper industry. So I feel a little bit badly driving by that place. Putting my typewriter away, and that's just an old vintage typewriter that I picked up off Kijiji, which is kind of like Craigslist. And I typed it onto vellum, and typewriters work perfectly on vellum. It's a really great medium, and I'm just trimming it down so that it fits nicely. Used my lots and lots of staples to attach it, and that's pretty much all I'm going to do to that card. It's sort of a dark story, so I don't want to decorate it. So here's a little technique that I'm going to do, and I think I'm going to make a separate video about this. But basically what I'm doing is I'm sizing up the size of the photo, and then I'm trimming off the excess of the card that kind of hangs down further, and then I'm rounding it so that the square corners won't show, but then I'm going to overlap these two halves of the card so that they look like one single card that just happens to be the perfect length for framing in my photo. And there you go. But the problem is that now there's that little edge on the side that is too wide. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to cut the card and then I'm going to resize it. And then I will attach my photo. I'm going to attach the photo to the small piece first because it just makes it easier, and then line it up so that it looks like a perfect frame. So I will make a separate video that walks through that process if you got lost or didn't follow that, or if I didn't explain it very well. So check that out on my channel pretty soon. And then once I had framed that, it didn't really coordinate as well with the card that I had originally planned to put it on. So this is another opportunity for me to, again, use another neutral card. As I mentioned at the beginning, I always struggle to add some neutral elements for your eye to rest and not have to take in quite so much color. So this just says the kids were quick to settle into their rooms at Nana and Papa's cottage. And then it says a week at the cottage with Nana and Papa. Because they were away that week. But before we went, we hung out at our friend's pool. It was like a crazy weekend of going, like our kids for the past 2 weeks, it was actually 2 weeks of lots of back and forth, and our kids were away from home quite a lot, but there was lots of traveling and picking kids up and bringing them different places and stuff. So this is something I'm going to talk about at the end. I have this little screenshot from my watch. And because I have my watch set to the modular mode, it keeps all of my data, like the calendar events that I'm going to, as well as the time and the temperature and lots of things. And so I thought that that was a really nice way to add some what might be metadata for the photo. Just to kind of add all of that in one quick little square and not have to write down all those details. So I just took that other neutral card and I'm using it to cover up the phrase that I don't want to have poking out behind my photo. And it also gives a little bit of interest there. And I had to round the corners because the little straight edges were interfering with the rounded corners a little bit. So I placed my photo a little bit low on that white mat. And then I realized that I don't really need to do much journaling because it's all contained within the screenshot of the app. So I had this little word play, and I know that I have this because I've been familiarizing myself with my own stash lately by just going through it and having a look at my drawers and what I have, so that when I need something, I am aware of what my options are without having to root and search and look for the perfect thing. So I knew that I had this word play in my word drawer. So I just opened up my word drawer, picked it out, and glued it down as you saw, and plopped it on here. And it works perfectly. I really, really like it, actually. I outlined the whole card. And now I'm going to add a little bit of mist in 2 diagonal corners. Sorry, you can't see the bottom, but I'm putting it in the bottom left-hand corner and the top right-hand corner. And I really like how that looks. The mist just adds a little bit of interest without being too dominating. If I had put enamel dots or something there, it would have taken away from the word play. So now that all my cards are done, I just do one last search for any extra added details that I want to add. So what I'm doing here is I'm thinking both about stash busting. So if there's anything that I want to use up, I will grab it and have a look. At this point, there's not really anything that I'm trying to use. I'm more just looking for which cards are lacking in detail and what things do I have on hand to add those details. So I added, remember I said that that card needed something a little bit more colorful. So that little epoxy sticker from Freckled Fawn works perfectly for that. And I thought about adding something to this perfection card, but I kind of like how plain it is, so I'm not going to add anything. I have this drawer this is a new drawer. It's not new drawer, but it's I repurposed it. It had something else in it before. And I just have all of my dimensional stickers in it. So puffy stickers, epoxy stickers, anything like that. I do have a set of enamel dots there, but they don't actually belong there. I need to move them to a different spot. but it's just mostly puffy stickers and anything like heavily layered and with texture and dimension. So I have a bunch of sets of puffy stickers that I have just a few remaining pieces, and so this is a good chance for me to look and see if there's any place I can add some. So you see me just taking a couple of them out, and I thought that that house would work really well on the card about the journaling of when the cat got out. I like the iconic look of it, and I also like and how it kind of coordinates with the typography of the two stamps, but it also works well with the story that I'm telling. Then I thought that the Casey Neistat card needed something extra, so I took that Amy Tangerine puffy heart and I stapled it onto the card, and it's still missing a little something. So see where I'm pointing right now? I thought that if I had something there, it would add a nice visual triangle to that card. So I'm just searching my dimensional stickers for something, and I put that one there, but that was a little bit too bland. So I decided to add this little ampersand, which is kind of like a reddish orange color, and then a little enamel dot beside it. Or maybe not. Did I add the enamel dot or not? Yes, I did. I just grabbed a different color. I didn't want to introduce another color, like I didn't want it to be so busy. So I picked a lime green that is almost the same color as the background paper that it's partially layered upon. Okay, so I'm all done, so I thought I would share these cards with you guys. I have this one that has the word play from the Scraptastic Kit Club. This is a really nice dimensional piece of acrylic, and it's so pretty. I love how it looks, and the photo just fit perfectly with that acrylic piece, so I just love it. This is my new favorite way to keep track of the details on photos. So this is a screen cap of my Apple Watch, and so what it does is on my watch at any given time, it tells me the day, the time, and then what things I have scheduled for this time, the temperature at the moment, and then my status on the health app. So those are 3 things that the health app keeps track of, like your activity, and you have to stand every hour and those sorts of things. And then this is my habit tracker. And so at any given time, my watch tells me these things. So when I take a picture, like I took this picture, and I thought, instead of writing, we went to the HCU soccer tournament, blah, 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 it was a beautiful day. Instead, this picture and my screen cap can tell the entire story without me writing a single thing. And this is awesome for me, because I don't love this kind of journal. Like, I shouldn't say I don't love journaling, but I love to capture as much of a story in the image as possible. And so I love this image. It shows they're gathered around their coach and the assistant coach, and all of the kids that my daughter is friends with are right there. They're all looking, and I don't have to block anybody's faces out or anything, because the photo is so small here on YouTube that you can't even really see who anybody is. So I love that about the photo. And my daughter is kind of prominent in the photo, so I love that too. And then with these details, I get to know that it was Saturday the 16th, that it was 1:31 when I took this photo. The thing that I had scheduled that ran from 1 until 4 was HCU soccer tournament, which was at Kingswood Elementary. It was 24 degrees that day. And then this is just my activity levels for the health app, and then my habit tracker, which are less relevant to the photo. But I really love this as a way to document the details of a photo in such a tiny little space. And I print this at 0.5 by 0.6 because the watch is a little bit longer than it is wide, and so that allows me to capture all of those little details. I love, love, love doing that. And if you happen to have an Apple Watch and don't know how to do that, all that you do is there are these 2 buttons on the side of your watch. I wear mine on my left hand for a couple of different reasons, but So there's this button here and this button here, and I'm not an expert on using this watch. I kind of just put it on and started wearing it and didn't really know much about it at all, and I've been learning about it slowly as I go in terms of how to use it and make it work the most efficiently for me. But anyways, the way that you take a photo, I'll just get it to come back up, is you press on this button and that button at the same time. And you'll see that it flashed for a second. That was it taking a picture of the screen. And so that picture will automatically go into my photo stream. And if I had just taken a picture of something here, like let's say, hang on, let me try it right now. I'll show you how it works just by doing it right now. So I'm going to take a picture right now. Here I am taking a picture of my Project Life spread, and then I take a picture of quick. So now I just have that picture, and if I go to my photo stream right there, I have that photo, and then right beside it I have that. I also have all those other ones that I just took. But that I find that that's just a fabulous way to keep the details without, you don't have to enter anything. I absolutely love it. It's perfect for things that are in my schedule that I'm doing. So it wouldn't be great if I just stopped someplace unplanned, because the details of it wouldn't be on my watch, but I love it. So then the second card is this Perfection card from the Scraptastic Kit Club. It had Reality Bites on the other side. It's from the This Life Noted kit. It could be from the June kit or the April kit of 2016. And I really liked how it picked the red in the title, picked up on the red in the solo cup. And so I just kept this one really, really plain. I did add some mist splatters in Sky, Mr. Huey's Sky. I added it in 3 different places, on this card, and this card. And I like to use the same color of mist splatters when I'm doing Project Life. I also like to use the same pen and the same selection of letter stickers. So I might not use exactly the same font every single time. So here I used this yellow play, and then which is a freckled fawn font, and then I used chair here out of these Kelly Perky alphabet stickers. And then it just so happens that those were the only, and then I also used the same font but a different color here for the Casey Neistat. So I tried to not use too many different fonts because the cards already have a lot of different fonts on them. So I try to repeat fonts whenever possible, but I'm not really strict about it. As you can see, I used a different font right here for the word play. Then this is what this one looks like. And I hopefully narrated how I made this Project Life card. I kind of customized it so that it fits as a border around the photo. So if you didn't see that, go back and have a look. And then this one I kept pretty plain too, because I wanted the sentiment to really kind of linger with you. So it has the photo, which is this dark, moody photo of the pulp and paper plant. And I just put the name of the paper plant and then the not so pretty side of paper, and I just left it without any other embellishing. And then this is the photo that goes with the story of my cat getting out of the house for 22 hours. And I don't really love this card, but this is a good example of how with Project Life, you can just kind of, you know, if you don't love it, just do the best you can and put it in there. It's one of probably hundreds of cards that are going to end up in this project, in this whole album. And so it really doesn't matter if there's a card that you don't really love so much. So I really liked how this said happy end. I was a little bit hesitant to put the word happy end right on the bum of my cat, but it is kind of like the happy ending of the story that the little one got out, which I journal about right next door. And then I had this cat puffy sticker that I'd been hanging on to, and I have cats, so I knew I'd use it eventually, so I thought I'd use it right there. And then I pulled out my Studio L2E stamps for bad days. I forget what these are called, like the names of these stamp sets, but I just pulled out 2 from this smaller set right here. And I stamped Holy Crap, and that did not just happen. And then I added a little Amy Tan house puffy sticker from her very first collection. And the journaling just says, we realized Wednesday morning that Chloe was missing and hadn't been seen since the day before. We searched and searched the house, even the air vents. We realized she must be outside. At 3 months old, with coyotes, foxes, owls, and other predators, we were distraught. We found her curled up in a bed of leaves under the porch, scratched but safe. So we took her to the vet and she was okay. So this says chair shopping, and I used a gel pen for that, and that's how that one looks. And that one again has the sky, Mr. Huey's. And then this one I just used cursive writing to write my early morning view, and that's a Snapchat photo that I took of, I grabbed my phone, I was still laying in bed. This is what I see from my bed in the mornings. I leave my blinds open a little bit because when I open my window, if I don't, they bang all night long with the wind. So here's the story, and I just took a photo of the TV when this was up because Casey has said this a couple of times, luck equals opportunity plus preparation, and I was telling somebody about it and I couldn't remember exactly what the quote was. I remembered the sentiment of it, but I couldn't remember the exact words. And so I just took a screenshot so that I could remember that. And I thought, this is exactly the kind of thing that is awesome to put in Project Life. So I put it here in Project Life, and I added the camera, which is really old from my stash, but I thought it was perfect for Casey, who carries so many cameras with him everywhere, and the little chipboard star, and then those other little embellishments. I just wanted to make a little triangle. I used the Kelly Perky letter stickers, and the journaling here says, we've watched Casey's vlog from the very beginning. We love his outlook on life and his approach to storytelling. And then there's this one. It says, at Otis and Clementine, I found this book which has the same cover as the one I originally had. So I somehow got rid of my Stephen King collection. It just didn't make it. I couldn't bring everything for all of my moves. I moved around a lot as a young person, and I also moved to Calgary and back from Calgary, which is several thousand kilometers, and I just couldn't bring big, huge boxes of books. And I can't remember if I left my books in Halifax when I went to Calgary, or if I left my books in Calgary when I went to Halifax, but somehow I lost all of my books except for one. I didn't lose them, like I made the decision to not bring them, but it was a reluctant decision. Anyhow, I can't remember at what point, but I don't have any of my original Stephen King books that I bought when I was a teenager at used bookstores, and I read them all and loved them all, or almost all of them. And I've actually started a Stephen King Facebook reread book club because I've decided after reading his On Writing book, I just decided to go back and reread all of them as an adult, and it's a completely different experience reading them as an adult. So I'm really enjoying it, and I picked this up in the bookstore. Even though we're not doing the night shift for another couple months, I picked it up anyways. We're reading them in order. And then this is the card about my YouTube play button, which I painted on my closet door one night. We came home and we didn't have the kids with us, and I was like, I didn't feel like scrapbooking, but I wanted to do something creative. And Casey Neistat, actually, it's funny because he's in this layout in the same page that he painted on his wall, and ever since he did that, and that was quite a long time ago, but ever since he did that, I've thought that I wanted a play button of my own. And it seems like the kind of thing that you could draw pretty easily, although I'm not very good with proportions and that sort of thing. So what I did was I just downloaded the play button on the internet and printed it up onto an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And then what I did was I actually took a piece of transparency and I traced the whole outline, including the triangle in the middle, just so I would get the proportions right on this piece of overhead transparency. Then I came down in my scrap room and turned off the lights, and Scott used a flashlight and shone it through the overhead transparency so that it enlarged and showed itself on my door. And then I just took a pencil and I really roughly quickly outlined it. I had to do it super fast because Scott's arms were hurting or something. He couldn't hold it for very long. I can't remember what the deal was there, but he couldn't hold it. Either he was in a rush or I can't remember. I think he was doing something that day and hurt himself. Anyhow, and then I just went back and I had to kind of just straighten it out with the pencil afterwards. And then I just kind of freehand. I did mask off the part for the triangle, as you can see right there, but I just freehand drew around. There were lines there, but they were so messy that I just drew it carefully with paint. And this was just Martha Stewart regular paint from my craft paint little cubby that I keep my craft paint in. And I wanted it kind of like a stickled, textured look. I didn't want it to be just all solid, because I thought that I wouldn't have to worry about brush strokes if I just like made it look messy on purpose. So that's what I did. So that's that, and I just used Freckled Fawn and Freckled Fawn puffy stickers and letter stickers and sprinkled, and that's it. So this is this spread. Some people have requested that I do shares of my project life in addition to the process videos, so I will show this again on another video. I think I'll probably do like a monthly recap of my project life. I think that will do two things. It will be helpful for the people who want to see my project life but aren't into process videos, but also it will be helpful for me to keep myself on track with project life. So take care and have a great scrappy week.